Hey everybody, David the AI Guide here. Welcome to a new episode. Thanks to our new subscribers in the last week. Really appreciate that. Please like, share videos, and also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So today, by the way, stay to the end of the video for a special resource for our viewers regarding artificial intelligence. It's absolutely free, so please stay to the end and get the free resource. It'll help you. So today's news is about Microsoft. Microsoft, a little over a week ago, bought a company called Nuance Communications. So for those of you who don't know, Nuance is the company that designed and developed Siri for Apple. And of course, Siri continues to belong to Apple now, but Nuance has just been bought by Microsoft, and there's a big reason for this. It's because a little over a year ago, Microsoft entered the AI-driven, cloud-driven healthcare software market. So this software by Microsoft is for doctors, dentists, hospitals, etc. And Nuance, with their specialty in speech recognition, had moved on to focusing on helping with customer service and doctor's office visits. So we've talked a lot about AI as an enabling and convergent exponential technology with other technologies that all come together and change the world. We have talked about how in healthcare, robots are going to start doing intake in healthcare settings almost globally over the next 5 to 10 years. And why? Because the robots don't get sick, they aren't exposed to diseases, and they can take all the basic information in terms of symptoms, insurance information, relatives information, all the stuff that happens when you go to a doctor or the ER or an urgent care or any of those facilities. And clearly, speech recognition is an extremely important part of healthcare intake. You can't do it without it. And Microsoft, being newer to the healthcare software market, needed top-of-the-line speech recognition technology, and the easiest way to get that was by buying Nuance. Now, Microsoft has big competition in this area in the form of GE or General Electric. General Electric already has AI-driven healthcare platforms that we've talked about on many occasions. And there's a few other companies that, along with GE, pretty much rule the market for this software right now. But given that healthcare is going to be one of the fastest growing areas for cloud technology and AI and speech recognition and robotics, then Microsoft saw that this is an area that they needed to be in. So how do we know that Microsoft might be successful in this venture? Well, Microsoft is one of the two top companies, along with Amazon, in cloud computing. So that huge presence in cloud computing that they already provide for many healthcare companies opens the door for them to sell their software into these healthcare companies. And this is how big companies work. This is very, very typical of big companies, and especially big tech companies, because they don't internally originate all of these different technologies that they end up using to provide a universal offering. They buy it. And this is a great example of that. And Google has also bought many, many companies in different areas that are all designed to support Google's core businesses of advertising, cloud, and a bunch of other stuff. Google is a huge company now, so is Microsoft. So Microsoft has a reasonable chance of success. There's other companies in the healthcare space far ahead of them, but Microsoft also has a lot of experience in AI. Why? Because of their Cortana AI assistant that they've built into their Office platform and other products. Plus, they have Microsoft, as you guys know, I'm sure, has a huge gaming division that is also starting to leverage AI more and more. So Microsoft has a dominant position in cloud computing, great experience in AI, and that gives them a reasonable chance of success in healthcare. Now, to wrap this episode up, I'd just like to recap our discussion from near day one. After we finished the history of AI, we've been talking about this continually, which is converging technologies that are exponential in nature and are already changing the world, but that rate of change is accelerating dramatically now, and the next 10 years, 9 years to 2030 is going to be epic. So again, converging technologies of speech recognition and computer vision allow AI to do many, many things. And AI takes these two technologies and makes them work in a self-learning way, which is revolutionary. And you add on to the triumvirate, the three-part stool of AI algorithms, computer vision, and sensors, and then you add on a fourth leg of that stool, which is robotics, and you have truly powerful capabilities to disrupt the world and the global marketplace. And we've talked a lot about this. This is why you don't want to do jobs that can be easily automated, because easily automated jobs will be gone in the next 4-5 years. So in thinking about work, pick jobs that still require the human touch, which there's a lot of. Now, clearly, in the context of this episode about Microsoft and buying another company, by the way, this was their biggest acquisition since LinkedIn 5 years ago. And with LinkedIn, they have profoundly changed that platform by upscaling it so that it's much, much bigger than it was 5 years ago. And it's much more AI enabled than it was 5 years ago. So Microsoft is now entering the healthcare space. This is going to be a war. Why? Because global population is aging. In fact, I was just reading an article about that a few minutes ago, that 62 countries by 2050 will have a third of their population older than 60 years old. So much of the world is starting to age, and there's going to be very, very high healthcare demand because of this aging population. And then in the countries that aren't in that 62, or roughly 1/3 of the countries on the globe right now, there being about 190 or so, a very young population also has high healthcare needs. And there's a lot of countries where the population is decidedly young, especially in Africa, where healthcare delivery has been very, very poor, but is starting to rapidly change now. So healthcare is a monster market. There's many, many jobs in healthcare. There's obviously jobs in healthcare systems and programming, but there's jobs, as we've talked about, in nursing, nursing aid, being a doctor, of course. However, some of those roles will be automated, specifically surgery by 2030 will be highly robotic. And why? Because robot surgeons don't make mistakes, and people make mistakes every now and then. It's human nature. So there's many areas of medicine that are and will continue to be great options for work and will be relatively AI-proof. So although emotion AI, as we've talked about, is starting to gain traction, and that may amend what I just said, but we'll see about that at a later date. So big news out of Microsoft. They're going to keep buying companies. They just bought an app for a lot of money called Discord. That's a chat app. So look for technology companies like Microsoft and Google and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all of them to keep buying companies that have technologies that augment what they already offer or branch into an adjacent field that they want to get into, like healthcare from Microsoft. So thanks a lot. Click the link below for your free AI resource. This will help you prepare for the AI tsunami that is on the way. We're on the bottom of the face of the wave now, and it's going to drive dramatic societal change. So thanks, take care, and talk to you next time.